What's happening, folks? Back with another reaction, back with some more Bruce, and we're continuing through his 1973 debut album, Greetings from Asbury Park, New Jersey, or NJ. Thank you once again to Michaela for all the Bruce material and many other albums and artists. But the next track is the amusingly titled, Does This Bus Stop at 82nd Street? So it feels like a very specific question. I do wonder if this is still in New Jersey. It feels like the number of the street would suggest New York City. It's one of the few cities big enough that you could conceive there would be, 82nd Street, within the grid, and indeed specifically within the grid is a very New York City detail. I would say, I come from a city, or not I come from, I currently live in a city where there are numbered streets which are parallel to each other, but only a few of them are significant. 1st, 4th, and 17th. And the rest, they're there, and in some sense, they can be used to get throughout the city. But 1st, 4th, and 17th especially are the big ones that run for, many miles and intersect many other streets. So I wonder if 82nd is significant in that regard, or whether it's only significant to the narrator. So yes, my first thought is this in New York City, not New Jersey, Asbury or otherwise? Secondarily, is this a more narrow tale or something that has, greater social or urban significance? So yes, let's give it a listen and see what I can catch. This is Bruce Springsteen. The song is Does This Bus Stop at 82nd Street? Let me try that again. Does This Bus Stop at 82nd Street? And it's from his 1973 debut album, Greetings from Asbury Park, New Jersey.
Hey, bus driver, keep the change. Bless your children, give them names. Don't trust men who walk with canes. Drink this and you'll grow wings on your feet. Broadway, Mary Joan Fontaine, advertiser on a downtown train. Oh, Christmas crier, busted cane, you stand love again. Where dock workers' dreams mixed with panther schemes to someday on the rodeo. Tainted women in this division perform for out-of-state kids at the late show. Wizard imps and sweat sock pimps, interstellar Monroe nymphs. Oh, Rick said that lady left him limp. Loves like that, sure is. Oh, queen of diamonds, ace of spades, newly discovered lovers of the Everglades. They take out a full page ad in the trades to announce their arrival. And she found out how to cope. She rides the heaven on a gyroscope. The Daily News asks her for the dope. She says, man, the dope's that there's still hope. Senorita Spanish Rose wipes her eyes and blows her nose. Uptown in Harlem, she throws a rose to some lucky young matador.
Is that it? Oh wow, that was very short. Like maybe 2 minutes? 2.5 at most? Yeah, just over 2. Okay, there's a lot happening sonically that I enjoy, but that is very much secondary to what's happening here. Meaning, there's some great guitar, and it does get a bit more frenetic right before those measure changes and little touching piano melodies along the way, and then we have that sudden slow down syncopated rhythm, which is very nice and unexpected at the end, and even that sort of slows to a crawl, and then the song stops. And of course Bruce's voice is not only compelling, but there's a bit of, what's the right word, there's a bit of theater, there's a bit of he's inhabiting a character as he delivers some of the lines, and definitely, compared to some of the other songs I've heard, and maybe most specifically Streets of Minneapolis, which, if you didn't know, again, I know most people who've now been following this deep dive have probably checked out multiple videos, but I did do a video reaction to the music video for his new song that he put out in the last few weeks over on my Patreon. So if you're interested in that, you can check it out. It's publicly available. Nevertheless, the point is, I can hear the youthful quality of his voice here compared to some of the other songs I've heard when I went through the, opening appetizers selection. Thank you again to Michaela for this deep dive. But the real attraction here is the lyrics, and it does feel like this has to be New York City, and it's like we're getting a taste of everything, what the papers are saying, and, sort of eccentric and charismatic characters throughout the city as he's riding the bus and looking at billboards for what was the phrase? It was like, something about ladies of, ill repute, or like scandalous ladies, and seemingly suggesting a, at the very least, like burlesque show, if not like a nude show, but then talking about different parts, and like, what was it, Spanish senorita, like wiping her eyes and blowing her nose, has she been crying, and they're like kids at a late night show. It's like we're getting just little snippets and samples of all the activity, all the humanity, all the hustle and bustle of New York as he's on his way to 82nd Street, and sort of, oh, bless you, bus driver, keep the change, and name your kids something, and so on, and throwing a rose at the end to some lucky matador. It's like there's lots of different cultural references and clever turns of phrase, and maybe not as much as the opening tune, or not as much as Blinded by the Light, but it still feels like there's a bit of like, deliberate eccentric wordplay, and just kind of grabbing cultural references and turns of phrase and kind of bringing them all together, but with more of like a visual narrative this time, or at least one that I could more immediately make sense of. So yeah, like his lyrical creativity right out of the gate with his debut album is really something striking. So definitely, I had a lot of fun with this tune, and I actually wish it was a little bit longer. But as I said, there's really compelling sonics here, but they're definitely, second fiddle to what he's saying in this song. And I didn't catch everything. I caught a lot, but it's, it's again happening very fast, and, sort of going by in these little quick vignettes with clever wordplay. So very, very cool. Luca thinks the same. Let me know what you think, and I will see you next time. Peace.